So that the sound should be up now. I hope you can hear that. So I see that it's come up on my my OBS platform, so it should be working now. Right. So what am I doing? Well, the first thing I'm doing is I'm just testing it to see how it's working. I'm going to run through a couple of things and see how my OBS integrates with YouTube Live. All right, so it's great because I can also see the question. So if you have a question about what I'm doing, by all means ask it. I'm more than happy to answer questions right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rule up a sheet and obviously test my camera and the zoom and everything. So I am using a Canson marker pad, and I'm going to rule up using my lining template. Of course, you know, I'm running through this so I can see how I can set it up later on. What am I going to do? I'm going to rule up some 3mm lines. So the template is already at 3mm, so I just need to rest it on the sheet and rule these up. And I am going to zoom out a little bit and get some 55s on there. Where's 5? Okay. And the other 55 is here. And do these and this, this, and do these well. Get this one at the bottom here. Excellent. So that's all ruled up nicely. Right. So I'm going to use my my ink, which is quite new. I'm going to take this out of the pad. Now, what I've done recently is I've made a very simple couching pad, which is 4 sheets of copy paper, and I've just stapled them together just to give me a little bit of bounce to the paper, so it's not on that rock hard surface. Right. I'm also, you know, I'll talk you through what I'm doing. So I'm also going to do something. I'm going to use something called the lift, which is this technique I use with a ruler. You can do it with a folded piece of paper, and I'm just going to slip it under the writing surface so that it just lifts the paper a little bit. Come on. Trying to do too much at once here. There we go. And see if I can get a little bit. more. So this is at 3mm. Excellent. All right, so let's see if we can adjust that. No, either do this. Ah, that doesn't work. Right. Let's see if we can adjust the properties on. Okay. Don't really want to take that down any finer than that. I just took the contrast up, because if I take it down, then it maybe there. I think as well one of the issues is, you know, the ink is so thin. Let's try it in a slightly thicker nib. Nibs. So this is this new ink that I've been working on. Let's try it in a Hunt 22. Yeah, so I think the issue here is that the ink is so thin that it's just not picking it up in the finer nibs. Yeah, I think my fine lines are too fine for the camera. So let's try it in a. Now the funny thing is, I actually got this new Hunt 101 out because I wanted to try something with the ink, which I'm happy to show you now. Is I think I might also have to use a slightly different pencil for this kind of work. What else should I try? What should I try? All right, well, that tells me quite a lot. So that tells me that I can't really use my super fine nibs, and I might need to stick to slightly heavier nibs. let's try it with this 303 special to see if it will actually work. So this is a nib that William Mitchell sent me some of these to test. They are super fine, and they're basically 303s before they're fired. Ah, so that shows up. Let's add. Let's use a guide sheet rather than ruling directly and see how that affects the writing. This might start. Right. So this is one of my guide sheets at, this is at 40%. Just about see it. I can't actually see it. Obviously, I'm a little too old to see this. There it is at, yes. Let's see if this will be better. Still need that lift underneath the page because this nib is so fine that it prefers to have a little bit of give so the page moves with it. So this is a little bit of English vernacular. Yeah, the EF principle is it's not an easy nib. I don't know, Andre. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that video that I did earlier on with the nib and with the go back to this with the nib and with the nib testing sheet where I went through like 10 different nibs. I sort of put them in order of use where I tell students, you know, this is how I think you should progress through your learning of the script and progression of the nibs as you gain more control, because that then allows the nib, it allows your writing to be challenged, and it allows you to see that you are getting better, because you stick with something like an equal G, chances are you're not able to produce these delicate hairlines. And then eventually you get up to things like a principle. Now, those are quite difficult to work with because they're very flexible and they spring open and they snap shut. So if you press too hard too quickly, they don't just sort of gradually open, they go. And so it's that kind of gradual movement that you really want to encourage when you're writing with a principle. So I hope that helps you a little bit. Okay, I'm going to end this and have a look at what this live has been like. The idea is to actually start running some lives on YouTube. Obviously, it's not going to be as haphazard as this is. This is the first YouTube live I've done, and I just wanted to see how it works. But I must confess, it's been a little bit of a struggle because of having to integrate OBS with YouTube, which they've made easy, but it wasn't something I was prepared for. So thanks. I know it's really sort of last minute, and you guys just hopped on. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you joining on. And obviously, I also appreciate Andrea's question. I'm glad that helps. I'm really glad that helps. But have a look at that video. And we're just updating the PAScribe scriptorium. So we have some free content on there. So, head over to the PAScribe scriptorium and, download some of the free content. So the videos I have here on YouTube about the nib critique sheet, the X height to nib to X height sheet. They are also on that site, but coupled with those videos, you'll find the downloads so that you can physically download the nib critique card and the nib X height sheets. When will the ink be ready? Well, I've been working on this ink for, you know what, as I'm on, I haven't done this video yet. I've only actually just opened the lid of the black. Oh gosh. I'm telling you, I've opened the lid of the black, and I'm seeing that there's another lid. There's only one lid open. You know what? I'll do a let's do this as a test. So this is the sepia, which I've shown you. So this is the pointed black. So it's a gold one. The sepia is in copper. And then this is the black edged. So it's in silver. So this is a thicker ink. Now the sepia, the aged sepia and the pointed nib one, they can both go through fountain pen. And they are amazing in fountain pen. So I'm planning to do some videos. I only got them last week, Thursday. And there was workshop week on with Becca. So, they literally arrived on the Thursday. And I was so grateful because I could have shown them. And we did a little giveaway and somebody got 3 of them. So I'm very happy. I'm very excited to see what she thinks of them. So the sepia is, for most people, they think of sepia and they think of brown. And I'd said before that, I saw this color in a manuscript in Zurich in 2002, and that color always stayed with me. And there was, on some of the pages, there were also bits of browns as well. So somehow this color expressed itself out of the brown, which was so beautiful to see, and I really loved it. It's such a great color. So the black, let me do a full opening for you. So let's go back to this. So this is the black. The camera's tilted backward. I don't really want to tilt this because I want to open it. Oh, I'll take the lid off. So the jar is absolutely massive. So you can see the lid really nice and shiny. The jar is absolutely massive. Oh gosh. Oh, I did open them. So the great thing about this is they all come with the seal protection. I will do a proper video on this. And when you close the lid and you keep this seal and that one in it, it really stops from leaking. So let's take that off. Here. So that's the black. It's quite thin. And what we did was we made the black first. So once we made the black, it gave us the ability to understand what we were aiming for with sepia. Right. So I'm going to dip, zoom in pause there. So I'm going to show you some of the tests I use when I'm testing an ink. I've just dipped it. Show you the whole process. So I've dipped, right? And I've tapped. So nothing's come off. Now I'm going to take a really deep dip and I'm going to do that, and you saw some ink fall off. Now that was flicking because I was really flicking. I'm just going to just tap it, because by tapping it, it keeps the amount of ink you need on the nib. Yeah, so it's 45 milliliters. So let's start off with some hairlines. Right, so it's settling in on the nib. So you can see that this hairline is thinner than these. So that's quite nice. Let's do some writing. Oh, beautiful. And now let's do some more writing. It's really holding onto the nib, and it's giving a really nice hairline. Let's do some minuscule. And I'm going to use this straight pen staff. And let us. Sorry, my hand's sticking to the desk. I didn't plan on doing Spencerian script, otherwise I would have gotten out an oblique pen staff. Actually, you know what? Let's grab an oblique pen staff. So I'm going to zoom out, because this was one of the reasons why I wanted it to be this large. I wanted to be able to take an oblique pen staff and just dip straight into the bottle without having to pick it up, without running into problems. Well, let me get a get a piece of paper for under my hand because I'm really I'm really sticking on the table. I'll just put a piece of paper under my hand just to get a little bit of movement. So it's really sort of holding the ink quite nicely. I haven't even tested the black. This is, I'm really doing this on the fly. So that's it in an oblique pen stuff. And I'm so happy with it because I could get into the jar without having to pick it up or turn it or try to get the ink on it. And those little pen dips, I really don't like them because I like to get into the jar, and if you have a pen dip, you have to pick it up. It's much hassle. Also, with such a wide mouth jar, when you're holding the oblique pen staff and you go into the ink, you don't have to change the position it is in your hand. You don't have to turn it and sort of do this and then find that position again. So the ink is really, really super thin. It's really fine. And it's starting to dry. It doesn't dry that quickly, but actually you can see that it's starting to dry, and it's really a beautiful black. Really lovely color. All right. Of course, I also wanted the mouth to be wide enough that if you wanted to use a ruling pen, you could dip into it with the ruling pen and pick up. You could pick up the ink and then just go straight to the writing. I think through all of these things because I don't like to run into these problems when I'm working. So I kind of thought you wouldn't want to run into those problems as well. And we have another product coming out that sort of works with the ink jar, which is really quite fascinating, but finding a way to produce it has been a little bit tricky. Anyway, I'm waffling. It's Friday. I'm good to go and actually make some videos, some content for this ink. Thank you so much for being on and for cheering me on. I was kind of ready to give up on this because it was a little bit more than I'd anticipated. So have a great Friday. Have a super weekend ahead. And thank you very much. And I'll let you know when the inks are out. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up to the PAScribe newsletter, go to my website, PAScribe.com, and sign up to the newsletter. And once you're part of the newsletter, obviously you will hear about when the ink is coming out and stockists, where you can find them. And of course, you'll also see some of these crazy videos that I'm planning to. Thanks very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.